The Prince returns as Brazil demolish Scotland. The Starboys of Switzerland and Bosnia come in clutch. Bafana make history. And FIFA's president snubs all criticism of hydration breaks, claiming they're purely a sporting matter. This is DMAC Daily. 6 World Cup games in a single day. I think I'm eating too good here. Like, this might be too much football. But anyways, we start with the Seleção, as Ancelotti's side have made very light work of Scotland to clinch top spot in the group ahead of Morocco. More on their game later, but this was a seismic result for the South American Giants. Up until today, their story for the tournament thus far had been kinda average. No doubt they've got a superstar amongst their ranks in Vini Jr., but their 2 previous performances were a far cry from the old days of Joga Bonito. Against Morocco, they struggled to cope, particularly in midfield, although in fairness, that Moroccan midfield is top. They then did breeze past Haiti, however, the entertainment factor was still somewhat missing. Adding to the frustrations, Neymar was yet to feature, and more concerningly, they lost Rafinha to an injury. On the flip side, the performances of Vini Jr. were promising, a player who has at times struggled in the national team previously. He's a player that has benefited tremendously from the reunion of his favorite manager. Also, Cunha's brace and performance last week were impressive beyond the goals. The way Cunha linked up with his fellow forwards and his mobility and attacking movements gave the side another dimension. But now, having watched Brazil today, I gotta say, I was very impressed. They showed their levels v Scotland. It appears as though they are growing in confidence and stature as the tournament unfolds. Granted, their opponents were defensively abysmal today, gifting Vini the opener and also a second, which was then ruled out to a foul. But more woeful defending then set up the opportunity for Vini to bag his brace. Not used to seeing this man score headers, but I am now used to seeing this lad cook in this year's World Cup team. He scored in all 3 group stage games. This has been the tournament where all the stars have come out to play, and Vini Jr. right now is carrying Brazil. Cunha then bagged his 3rd of the tournament. A beautiful free-flowing play, the pass from Paqueta to Guimarães, who then unselfishly picks out the runner in Cunha. The weight of the touch was perfect. The run was instinctive, with their number 9 then making no mistake. That's the mobility I'm talking about in the final third. A great day at the office overall. I think 1 to 11, every Seleção starter looked sharp. Ryan is growing in confidence too. And then we got to see the legend of Neymar at the end, who only made a short cameo today, but it was still awesome seeing one of the all-timers enter the fold. The Unks have been cooking all tournaments, so maybe in the latter stages, Neymar will wind back the clock with some magic of his own. I do have an inkling suspicion, though, that Ancelotti will not rely on him much moving forward. I think he values pace in that forward line, which is why Martinelli came on earlier than Neymar did. This Brazil side, as good as they looked against Scotland, don't probably have the technicians to control those midfield battles against stronger opposition, so I assume he'll look to play a more counter-attacking style with a very pacey forward line of Vini Jr., Ryan, and Cunha, amongst others. Putting Neymar in there would kind of stifle their tactics in theory, but you never know. Maybe Ancelotti is keeping Neymar's involvement on the down low in the group stages. Either way, fair play to Neymar. 981 days since his last Seleção appearance, he makes his return. It's no wonder he was emotional at full time. It's been a roller coaster for the number 10 to accomplish this World Cup dream, and he's done it. Was it a symbolic involvement? Maybe, maybe not. Ultimately, I just think the World Cup as a product is better for having him there. Meanwhile, Morocco also finish up with 7 points in Group C off the back of another win, although they made seriously hard work of it today, coming from behind twice to defeat Haiti 4-2 in Atlanta. Now, on paper, this looked like the game where Morocco could potentially chase down Brazil for top spot with a big win. But in reality, they spent most of this night chasing this match off the back of Haiti's multiple sucker punches. Inside 10 minutes, Duvan's cross found Joseph, who opted for a clever backheel, which inadvertently found the back of the net off of Bunu. Now, Morocco pushed for the equalizer and would find one in the 39th minute, as Hakimi was sharpest to react off of El Canous's deflected strike. But just when Morocco looked ready to settle, Haiti hit them again. Isidore this time ripping a brilliant 25-yard finish into the top corner, only for Morocco to equalize again just 2 minutes later. This time Hakimi was the provider, finding his center forward with a cutback, and Saibari was ruthless with the finish. The soon-to-be Bayern Munich forward is on fire right now, scoring in all 3 of the group stage matches, the first African player to ever do so. All the more remarkable that he's not even a traditional striker, yet has really thrived as the point of reference in this Morocco side. A crazy first half. No one expected Haiti to compete with the African side, but they gave a great account of themselves. That being said, Morocco would inevitably run away with the game in the second half. Substitutes Rahimi and then Yassin laid on, both getting on the score sheet. A deserved victory in the end, although there will be mixed feelings off the back of this result. Defensively, this was messier than it needed to be, and with Morocco now set to face the winners of Group F, likely the Netherlands, they cannot afford this level of chaos in the knockouts. Moving to Group B, and Switzerland have come up with a big result, defeating co-hosts Canada 2-1 in Vancouver, in a result that doesn't knock Canada out, but absolutely changes the feel of their tournament moving forward. Because coming into this game, Canada were basically playing for geography as much as qualification, right? A draw would have kept them top of the group, kept them in Vancouver for the round of 32, with the additional prospect of a round of 16 clash also in Canada. Instead, they now finish second, resulting in a trip to LA to face the runners-up from Group A, adding to their frustration. On the balance of play, to me, they were the marginally better side. They just lacked incisiveness and then switched off defensively. The first half was cagey, and Bolo missed a big opportunity early before Canada grew into the contest, with Lauren and Ahmed both testing Kobel in goal. But the entire match flipped straight after halftime. Within 39 seconds of the restart, Vargas fired Switzerland ahead, and 11 minutes later, the Swiss starboy Manzambi, having already assisted the opener, then made it 2-0. What a tournament he's having, super sub in games 1 and 2. Now in the third, he was rewarded with a start and delivered in full. That being said, Krepel will be disappointed not to have prevented that shot going in. Canada did eventually respond though. Saliba, who came into the side at Kone's expense, produced a classy touch and immediate delivery to super sub Promise David to volley home with his first touch of the ball. But the much needed equalizer never came. A frustrating day for Jesse Marsh's side in the end. They finished with 13 shots compared to Switzerland's 6, but the away side were ruthless, and Manzambi's breakout tournament continues. He now has 2 goals and 2 assists, becoming only the 3rd U21 player this century to have racked up 4 involvements in a World Cup. The other 2, Mbappe and Müller. This kid is criminally underrated. Meanwhile, Bosnia and Herzegovina have kept their World Cup dream alive, defeating Qatar 3-1 in Seattle to seal their spot in the round of 32. This side has been battling all tournament, holding on to a point against Canada before being swept aside by Switzerland. It all came down to today. Bosnia knew victory would lock up 3rd place in the group, and from the opening exchanges, they played like a team that understood the size of the opportunity, right? Granted, I was watching this game at the same time as the other Group B match, but from what I could see, they were far more ambitious going forward. They were peppering the Qatari goal, 5 shots inside the opening 23 minutes, all from outside the box, and eventually one of them flew in. Karim Alaibegovic, remember the name, at just 18 years and 276 days old, delivered one of the best individual moments of the tournament with an absolute golazo to open the scoring, becoming the youngest player on record to score a World Cup goal from outside the box. 5 minutes later, Bosnia then doubled the lead, this time an own goal from keeper Abunada. To be fair, Qatar did then make it interesting. Al Haydos dragged them back into the game before halftime. Pedro Miguel then hit the woodwork, and Ashram Hafif had a decent chance after the break. But Bosnia, they weathered the storm and laid on. Substitute Mamic settled it from a corner. His 2nd goal off the bench this tournament, making him Bosnia's record World Cup goal scorer in the process. So Qatar are out, still winless across 6 World Cup matches, but Bosnia are in dreamland. They're guaranteed a round of 32 spot with 4 points, the first time the nation has ever reached the knockout stages. So big up the Bosnians. Staying in Group A, and Mexico have done exactly what a host nation is supposed to do. 3 games, 3 wins, 0 goals conceded, and they finished the group stage with a comfortable 3-0 victory over Czechia in Mexico City. What makes this all the more impressive is that this wasn't even a Mexico side at full strength. Manager Aguirre made 5 changes to his starting 11 today, only the 2nd time Mexico have ever made that many changes between matches at a World Cup. Early on, you could see the disruption. Czechia actually started quite well in this match, and for the first half hour or so, Mexico were devoid of any real threat going forward, but once the game settled, Mexico's quality took over. The breakthrough came 10 minutes after halftime when Romo, the hero in game 2, carried the ball through traffic, slipped in Chavez, and the left left back finished into the bottom left corner. That was a big moment for him personally too. The youngster's been used sparingly in the tournament thus far, but definitely has a big career with the national team ahead of him. Then, 5 minutes later, the game was essentially wrapped up. Gilberto Mora, the 17-year-old prodigy, with a defense-splitting pass which caused a bit of a goal-mouth scramble. It then fell to Quinones, who turned in his second goal of the tournament. It was party time in Mexico City. The vibes were immaculate. Ochoa then entered the fray, the GOAT who respawns every 4 years. Great to see him feature at another World Cup. And late on, Fidalgo came off the bench and banged home the third. A dream group stage scenario for Mexico. Having finished first, they now have a round of 32 and round of 16 game potentially on home soil. They don't play an enthralling brand of football, but defensively, they're very strong. They've got some dangerous individuals in attack. They've got the home advantage too. I can see a reality where they reach the quarters, honestly. And from there on, anything's possible. And last, but certainly not least, Bafana. Take a freaking bow. For the first time in their World Cup history, South Africa are into the knockout stages, having stunned South Korea 1-0 to pip second spot. This was a proper pressure game, right? South Korea came into it knowing a draw might have been enough to keep control of second place, while South Africa, they had no margin for error after disastrously losing to Mexico and then drawing with Czechia. This was effectively win or go home. And for a nation that had failed to escape the group stage in their previous 3 World Cup appearances, the weight of history was sitting right on top of them. But instead of crumbling under the enormous pressure, they instead rose to the occasion. In the 63rd minute, Moremi helped create the opening, squaring the ball for Maseko, who then blasted one past Kim's near post. Suddenly, the whole complexion of Group A flipped in an instant, and they held on to secure all 3 points. Jubilation for South Africa. As for South Korea, they'll be kicking themselves. Their tournament started so well, they deservedly beat Czechia. They were unlucky not to get more out of that Mexico game, but today, they deservedly lost. They had chances, but in my opinion, I think South Africa deserved to win. For all the possession and intricate passing of South Korea, there was no end product to match. Their World Cup fate now effectively hangs in the balance. We know only 8 third-place teams will qualify, so only time will tell if South Korea remain in the tournament. As for South Africa, though, wow, how quickly things can change in football. It was a disaster after Game 1. They were largely written off by everyone. But fair play to manager Hugo Broos. He ditched the back 5 in order to play a more expansive brand of football, and South Africa were so much better for it. They weren't incredible with Czechia, but today, that was the South Africa that got them there. Full of energy, they created plenty of chances today and beat a top team. They now face Canada in the round of 32, the first confirmed matchup of the knockouts. And to close out today's episode, we gotta talk about my favorite FIFA president. Now, it's been a couple weeks since I last spoke on the ultimate supervillain of football, but off the back of his latest comments about the validity of hydration breaks, we gotta debunk this fraud, because Gianni Infantino has now come out and vehemently denied the idea that FIFA have introduced the stoppages purely for financial gain, suggesting it is purely a sporting matter to basically protect the players from the North American heat. Now look, I'm all for prioritizing player welfare. If the conditions are genuinely dangerous, then I certainly have no issues enacting drinks breaks. But that is not the problem here. It's the insulting suggestion that this wasn't inherently a financial move. Case in point, Fox Sports. Now, this broadcaster are reportedly in line to make hundreds of millions of dollars from ads during these breaks, with some estimates pushing the figure towards $500 million. So even if FIFA are technically correct that they are not receiving extra revenue from these specific 2026 agreements, that is very much a lawyer's answer as opposed to an honest one, because FIFA do not operate in a vacuum, right? Broadcasters now know these stoppages are premium inventory. Sponsors know it, FIFA know it, and when future broadcast rights are negotiated, those extra commercial windows become part of the value of the entire product. Understand, hydration breaks are here to stay. It's done. I mean, think about it. If this were purely about heat, why are the breaks mandatory across every match, regardless of conditions, stadium, or actual player risk. I mean, the US literally has climate-controlled stadiums to combat the heat. So when Infantino says this is not motivated by finances, he is either being deliberately misleading or he thinks us football fans are total idiots. The commercial machine has ultimately won. They have sliced up football into quarters, and I guarantee you, they'll never revert to the previous format. Because in the end, money talks. Anyways, guys, that's all for today's DMAC Daily. Appreciate you tuning in, and I'll see you tomorrow for the greatest team of all, the almighty Socceroos.